Welcome to the Be Empowered interview series with your host, Rashida Kamaria Williams.
Hey there, everyone. It's Rashida Kamaria Williams, Chief Empowering Officer for Empowered Flower Girl, and I am back with another episode of the Be Empowered interview series where we connect you with amazing change makers who are making a significant impact in their communities and in the world. And I am super delighted to have our guest today. Oh my goodness, you all have to get to know this woman. If you don't already know her, let me just tell you, you need to stay tuned here. Oh, and by the way, make sure you subscribe to our channel for more interviews like this. But I am thrilled to have none other than Erikka Yvonne, who is the founder of Strut in Her Shoes. Now, let me tell you, this is a movement, baby. This is a movement that you need to be down with. When I learned about all the amazing things that she's doing, I was so impressed. And I said, you know what? I have to have you on the Be Empowered interview series because one, we interview inspiring change makers, which that is something that she is doing. And two,
Thank
also it's
you.
all about good vibes. And from the time that I met you to up until now, you've been nothing but a ball of positive energy and good vibes. So welcome, welcome, welcome,
Thank you.
Erica.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I mentioned strutting her shoes and how
Mhm.
it is a movement. But strutting her shoes is a lot of things. So I just want you to let everyone know who's watching. Let us know what inspired you to start strutting her shoes and what you're all about. What's your mission? What gets you going?
Okay, so I started strutting her shoes in 2014. I had just graduated college in 2013, and initially it launched as a platform for me to share my story, journey, and thoughts as I was navigating post college, growing up, adulting, and all of the things. And then within a year of launch, and I would do like blogs here or there, God was like, it's not about you. And I was like, but wait, you said it was. And so I did,
Oh,
so I was like, okay, so it'll be a platform for other women to share their story, journey, and thoughts. And I had my first interview. It was actually, her name was Shannon, and she was out of Canada.
hmm,
And I found her on social media. And
okay.
from there, the platform just grew. And it grew into more than just a platform, but like you said, a movement. So then, and a community as well. So then we started hosting like monthly, we called it back then Strut in the City, which would be Strut meetups. And we did community projects. So we have 2 shoe drives a year. And then in 20, no, in 2018, nope, 2015 or 16, we launched a podcast
Wow,
called
look at
Strut
you.
Talk. And then we did that. And then in 2020, it launched as a magazine. So Strut has been a different iterations of things. But what stays true is we are a platform for women to share their story, journey, and thoughts. And as we formed in the past recent years, we say we are an elevator of mindful conversation and a safe space for women of color and girls to rise to the occasion of self empowerment. And so, at the root of everything that we do, we really try to provide that safe space to have conversations that we're not having every day. And we still do that through the magazine. We do that through the podcast. We do that through events. We do that when we're partnering and hosting events at shelters. So, at the core, we are a platform for women.
Yeah, and I love it because there are so many girls and women out here who have these powerful stories to tell, but may not have the platform or know where to go to share those stories,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the place where they will be received and they can control the narrative, right?
Yep.
My
So
background
we've
is in
done like we've
journalism.
even had people submit anonymous stories.
Yeah, and that's good because I was going to say my background is in journalism, and oftentimes I would notice when I was working in journalism, I would go out and report on a story. or I would gather the information, and it would be completely opposite of what the editors deemed was the true story, right? So they were
Yep.
controlling the narrative. But I like this because uh, these girls and women get to control the narrative, and they get to tell their own stories in an authentic way, and you're giving them a platform to do that. So kudos to you uh,
Thank you.
for
And we
doing that.
often think that the things that we go through have to be the end of our story.
Mm,
And in the beginning, one thing that we preached with quotations was that your mess is your message.
mm-hmm.
And so we all have a story to tell, but there's always a semicolon. It doesn't have to be a period. Like it can continue and you can continue to rewrite it just because you went through. Like we've had a ton of women. One story that stands out to me, her name is Jessica, and she went through a very traumatic domestic violence situation. And she wrote like a 3-part series. And when we started doing awards and we do annual holiday parties where we honor single mothers, she was one of the first people that we honored. And that's how we met her because she got nominated. And then she told her story. And what she began to do is we stayed connected with her. So we watched her sons grow up. And then she started giving us updates on them. And she would come to events and she would be at those holiday parties, passing the torch to other women that may have been going through a similar situation. And when we look back at like, because all of those stories are still on our website today, when you look back on her story and what she was going through then to now, she's married. Her sons are practically grown, like in college, doing amazing. We're like, oh, wow. And so when we say we really are here to encourage women to keep strutting, that's what we mean. If we see that she was able to get out of that situation, her sons were able to make it out and do good, then I can too.
Absolutely. Yeah, the inspiration is there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all in the stories.
Yes.
I definitely encourage women and basically anyone, right? We all go through the human experience. We all have lived experiences that are unique. Some things we all go through similarly, just as humans. But it's important to share those stories, to share those struggles, triumphs, but also successes. um,
Yes.
yes. So I want to find out from you though, um, what kind of made you say that this is something that I need to do? Did you have a story yourself of, why you wanted to create this this platform? And I love the name Strut in Her Shoes, by the way. And I am going to
Thank you.
get to the part about the shoe drive and all of the awesome things that you do in the community, the charitable things that you do. But I wonder, what's your Strut story?
So I grew up in the church. I was a youth leader in the church. And one thing that always like fascinated me, it was testimony Sunday. So when you have people up there sharing their testimonies.
Mhm.
So, but I never thought like, and because you often hear testimonies that are like traumatic. Started from the bottom, now I'm here. You don't hear testimonies of I just went from point A and point B and you don't know what it took for me to get there.
Exactly.
And so
All
for
those stories
me,
matter.
all stories matter. And
Mhm.
so for me, um, I would say college is where life kind of shifted for me. And once I graduated, I was like, okay, no, I need to share this. So my grandmother was my very, 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 very best friend. And she passed away in 2010.
Mm.
And that was the first time I have ever experienced grief for real.
Wow.
And so, like a normal person, I went back to school literally a week after we buried her and act like nothing happened because classes started back. So I literally was just go, 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 go.
Yep.
And she passed in December of 2010. So I went back January 2011, literally, like I said, a week, not even a full week after the funeral, probably a day or two, and act like nothing happened, like life was normal. In October of 2011, my best friend in school at college passed away
I'm
on
sorry.
campus. And so my body literally shut down where I wasn't going to class. Literally all I was doing was going to work.
Mm.
And so I don't say I dropped out of college for a year, but I took a break. I end up like just taking a pause on everything. I went to see a counselor
And
for
we have to
one
do that.
session.
Those are
And
things we have to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's when I realized for me that I did have a story because I didn't know what grief was. Like you hear about it, but until you experience it, because everybody experiences it differently.
Absolutely.
So then I was like, well, I'm not just going through this hell for myself. Like everybody is feeling the pain for grief. So that was part of what I wanted to share once I graduated, because I got to a point where I don't want to succeed because my grandmother won't be here to congratulate me. I don't want to
Mm.
get married because she won't be here to watch me try on my dress. I don't want to have a kid because they not gonna know their great grandmother. And that was my best friend. And so for me, it was Strut started when I had to strut out of that grief.
Wow. That's powerful.
Thank you.
That's powerful. Yeah, that's really touching. I actually got chills because, I definitely know uh the experience of putting grief, trying to at least put grief on hold, right? Like it's
And you can try
inconvenient.
very hard. You
It's
can try.
inconvenient, right? It's like, look, I'm trying to get through school. That was one of the most traumatic grief experiences I had as well. I was in college as well, going through it. And I said, I have to get through this semester. I have to graduate. Grief, you can hold on a little bit, but it was like, no, I'm here,
No.
baby. I'm here in your face, and you need to address me. But what I love is that we, at some point, right, we allowed ourselves to be able to experience that. And it's important for people out there to know that it's okay. This is part of life. We're going to grieve, whether it's a loss of a person we love, a loss of a relationship, even a loss of a job or a pet. We're gonna have these moments, right? And it's how we cope. But what it sounds like is that Strut in Her Shoes also, it seems like it is a great support system for women as well. You get to release and tell your story, but it sounds like there are plenty of resources from some of the articles that I've read. There are resources for women, to help them in business and in life, and things that they're going through. So, can you talk about how you're able to, through the company, how you're able to cultivate relationships, but also help women in our relationships with one another?
So the way we have done that is just by bringing together people. So we used to have an event, and work is coming back.
Okay.
We just have to figure out how and when. But
Okay.
we used to have mocktails and monologues.
I love it.
And it was essentially a platform and an event where we would have 3 to 4 women share the monologue of another woman. And after that monologue is presented, we have a deeper conversation with the person the story is about. And we have had the situation where the person the story was about presented their own monologue.
Okay.
And through this event, what we found was it's good to have the blog because you can read, you can cry in privacy. But when when you're in a room and collectively you're moved by one woman's story, you're naturally going to go hug the woman next to you. You're naturally going to console the woman next to you and you're crying together. You're naturally going to hand this stranger, because a lot of times it is people that don't know each other, a tissue. And so that's kind of how we began. It was through our events and our in-person interactions where we started to form that community and push for community. And I say that's where our mission of encouraging women to keep strutting really happened, because we're all in the same place.
Yeah.
And from this, I'm hearing Tiffany's story, but I'm sitting next to Melissa And so now me and Melissa are changing stories because we both relate to Tiffany's story.
Yeah.
And we're not gossiping. We're literally encouraging each other. And that's kind of how it started. It was through our in-person interactions. And like I said, we used to do Strut in the City, which was a monthly meetup dinner. And we had conversation. We will have featured speakers and panelists and moderators, but it was really just conversation at a random Detroit restaurant where we're just talking about life.
Yeah.
We're just talking about life.
It happens. And so many women that I have come across, a lot of them do have a good network of friends, but so many women, especially some of the younger women that I encounter, they are finding it challenging to meet new friends. They say, well, how do I, as an adult, over 30, how do I meet friends? It was easy when I was a kid. You just walk up to someone, hey,
Yes.
would you be my friend? How do you make friends at this big age?
And listen, I'm trying to figure that out. I have been grateful enough to be able to do that, but I also don't go outside to make more friends.
You say you don't go outside.
I don't go outside. I don't. And so
you're so busy. You're so busy.
Like now I meet friends at work that I stay in contact with. When we start Strut events back up, we'll do it through there. Okay. But most recently, my closest friends have come through my other friends.
And you know what? That's great too. A referral network.
Yep, a referral friend.
Vetted friends.
Vetted friends, yes.
I like that. I like to call it the good vibe tribe. I feel like that we all
yes, I love that
good vibe tribe, right? And that's one of the things that Empowered Flower Girl we really strive for is to help the girls and young women that go through our programs and attend our events that they also have the opportunity, the privilege to be able to have these friendships, these supportive relationships. So I wanted to kind of ask you about your opinion, but even if you have a personal experience, but just with women and coming into the space of connecting with each other, networking, even in your life outside of the work you do with Strut, you're often around women who are in these spaces, these professional women who are actively involved in their communities, who network with one another. What tips can you give on, making those connections, like being able to connect with other women who may, be on the same path, maybe a little different, right? Someone could potentially be your mentor, possibly, but it could be your colleague. Any advice you have or any experiences you have of, how you are actually able to connect with others?
Well, here's the thing. People don't believe me when I say this, but I am shy and I am reserved.
I don't believe it.
Exactly. No one believes me. But I often say I'm forced out of my shyness because of the work I do.
Yeah.
And the place I literally work every day. Like you can't be shy and you're surrounded by people every day.
Yeah.
So one of my main tips would be just do it.
Just do it. I love that.
Just do it. Like I use this on my entrepreneur side, do it afraid. Like the worst thing that they can do if you go say hi and compliment them is not say anything.
Or then if they do that, then you know that they weren't the person.
They weren't like there. You don't want to connect with them anyway.
That's right.
But always like one thing girls know what to do or women know what to do is compliment each other. So even if it starts with a girl, that skirt is cute. Where you get that? That's going to turn into another conversation.
Yes.
And so do it afraid. Okay, that person. And the other thing is when you're in a room, you're not the only one that's afraid to talk to somebody.
That part.
You're not the only one. Like
yes.
Probably half the room is having those same thoughts as you. And so just find something to connect with them about. Hey, I see you got on that pink shirt. I've been looking for a pink shirt. Where you get that pink shirt from? Or something like, I see you drinking red wine. Can we, like, you know, like, it can be something as simple as that, but just do it afraid. Go talk to him. Nothing's gonna happen.
Right, right. Like you said, the worst that
It
can
won't be
happen
your
is they
last. It
ignore
won't be
you.
your first dirty look if they give you a dirty look. It won't be your last. And what is that look gonna do to you? Nothing.
Exactly. Keep it moving. Move on to the next one.
Move on to the next person.
Right. Like speed dating, right? If the
Yes.
vibe isn't there, you're like, okay, great to meet you. Bye-bye. I'm going
Bye.
here. Yeah.
Yes.
That is actually hilarious. But shifting a little bit because I heard you talk about the Strut in her shoes. I think it was a shoe drive or some
Mm-hmm.
sort of charitable drive. Definitely want to hear about that because that is exciting. Do you all still do that, or how can people get involved?
Yes. So twice a year, depending on what we're working on. So the last couple years we did it, it was tied to a bigger drive that we were doing. But in the past, twice a year, we just do a shoe drive. We've partnered with Auto before and held a shoe drive there, and Auto gave discounts to the people that donated.
Oh, I love that.
Now we take the more philanthropy route, and we collect new and gently owned shoes, and we partner with a shelter, and we create a full shopping experience for the women in that
Nice.
shelter. And so the last one we did shoes, and we collected clothes and purses. And so each woman got a purse filled with toiletries. They were able to shop for clothes and shoes.
Oh, I love that.
And we actually did that one was we did it for like a Mother's Day theme. And so that was their Mother's Day celebration. And we had pictures for them. We took pictures of them with their children,
Oh,
and we took those pictures, printed, put them in a frame, and took it back up there.
oh, that is beautiful. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
And if the ladies who are watching this, if they're like me, they have some shoes that they were like, "Ooh, these are so cute. They're on sale." And they bought them and they realized, "Oops, I can't even fit these."
Yep.
I have
Let us
two
know.
I have
Just
two
shoot us
pair
an
like that
email.
right now. Super cute. And I just said, I just have to get these. And that's the thing, how these stores will get you. You'll try them on, walk around, not even for, 20 seconds in the shoes and like, oh, they fit comfortably.
They fit fine. Yep.
Yeah, until you get home and you're like, oh, I actually walked around in these for real and they don't fit. So I said all that to say, I'm sure that there are plenty of folks
Yes.
out there who have those shoes, basically new shoes that they haven't worn, or they've maybe only worn once or twice to donate. So yeah, we'll definitely include information on, how to get in touch with you and how
Yes.
you can support that. But, before we wrap things up here in just a bit, I wanted to find out from you, how can women, as well as girls or young women, get involved with Strut in Her Shoes? Are there opportunities for people to contribute their stories, or are you looking for stories or people to support or volunteer in any way?
There's always opportunity to contribute your story. There's actually a link on our website that says contribute your story, and
Okay,
it takes you to a form where you can fill out and share your story. And if you have any follow-up questions, we'll contact you. You can also just directly email us at hello@strutinhershoes.org. If you don't know like what route you want to go with your story, shoot us an email, say, I have a story to tell.
okay,
I'll gladly hop on a phone call and we can iron that out. Um, but I encourage anybody to just go on our website, read over the stories that we have, follow us on Instagram, even though we don't post as much. We're gonna do better. But I always say, even though we're silent on Instagram, our website is always active.
okay,
And the purpose of our website always being active is even if we don't have any new stories that we're publishing, those old ones are still just as encouraging. What
absolutely,
we always try to do is make sure any stories that we post can relate to any time that we're in.
yeah.
So you can always go on there and you can read. We had one story called A Good Girl with an STD.
Hmm.
And when I tell you that story went up, it went up.
Oh, I can
And
imagine.
people were reading it 2 years after we posted it.
Wow. Yes, that impactful.
And even last year we posted it on TikTok and the same thing. And so
Because
we
it
love
can happen to anyone.
it can happen to anyone, and it was the innocence of the girl that was in it because she was actually a virgin.
Yeah.
And so we actually did another featured story on her on life after that because now she's married and she has a kid, and her story of how she met her husband is so fascinating. So
Yeah.
we also often do that where if we shared your story at one phase of life, you can always come back and say, all right, I'm ready to tell part two. I don't want to write a book, but I want to share my story. We're
Yeah.
always here for that. And so we're an open book and we accept any story. And if
Okay.
you don't want to share your name, you don't have to. If you
Okay. So
really just like,
you
I
could
just want to release.
so you could post the story anonymously.
Hmm. If you
Yeah.
just say, hey, I just need to get this off my chest.
Yeah.
I just need
That's
to get
good
this off my chest.
because that could be
We
healing. Telling these stories could
we
be
actually
healing.
had somebody that contributed for a year. She contributed often under a pseudonym because she didn't want anyone to know what she was going through. But her sharing her story was therapy for her. And I think that's another thing. Like sometimes sharing your story is not about embarrassing the person that may have been the villain in your story, but it's healing and therapeutic for you.
Yeah.
And so we could change all the names
Sure.
if you name them. Or we could say person one. Like we can do any of that. One thing, we do not have rules. We just want it to be factual.
Okay.
We
All
don't want no
right.
made up story. We just want a fact story. But we ain't gotta
Facts
embarrass
and feelings.
nobody. We ain't gotta name nobody. But if you feel like you're at a point where I need to share my story, Strut is your place.
Excellent, excellent. Because I know so many people who are working on that right now, and they're coming to me even saying, Rashida, help me to be able to tell my story, help me to draft that narrative. And again, I commend you for
Thank you.
using your platform to help others heal,
Yeah,
because there's a healing space,
it
uh,
is.
to help them heal as well as to help them to move through those challenges, but also to celebrate those wins and opportunities that they have. So kudos to you. I'm
Thank you so
very,
much.
yeah, I'm very inspired by it. And for those of you out there who are watching, again, I will make sure that I include all of the information in the description as well as on our social media. But the last thing that I wanted to ask, as we close out, is about about the future, especially for our girls and young women.
Mhm.
Empowered Flower Girl is an advocate for girls and young women in mentoring. Um, what are some things that you think we as adult women can do or do better to be role models for our girls, especially in terms of our relationships with one another as women?
One thing, I am a mentor. And one thing I always try to do, which I think helps, is be relatable. I think a lot of times when we grow up or when we get past a certain phase, we kind of look down on it. Where no, you were that teenager that was boy crazy too. So if baby
Absolutely.
girl is boy crazy and needs to let out her boy feelings, be grateful that she has you to come to because maybe you didn't have somebody to go to.
That part.
So don't forget where you were when you were their age. Be relatable and allow them the space to be where they are. And you just help them get out of whatever that is.
Yeah, I love that. That is the advice that I always give to the women in my life who come to me wanting to be mentors, and they're like, "Well, I don't have this together. I don't have that together." And I'm like, "It's fine. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need all these awards and titles and all this other stuff. You just need to be relatable. You just need to be someone who's there and someone who cares." So,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But I just want to thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing your time with us and for really, you know, really for all the things that you do and sharing your
Thank you so
platform.
much.
Yeah. So everyone, it has been indeed a pleasure. If you know of individuals in your community that we should connect with, reach out to Empowered Flower Girl so we can help them tell their stories as well. So thank you, everyone.